Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of A Dungeon About, and a happy 4th of July to all our American listeners, as that's the day when we recorded most of this episode, as I'm sure you'll hear about. We start out by talking about Dragon Age Origins, which turns out is still a good game, and we go into a little bit of a discussion about how it uses companions and companion quests. Then later in the show, we talk about the new World of Warcraft expansion, The War Within, and we tackle the age old question of are orcs evil inherently, or are they made evil through corruption? And no, we don't really reach an answer. Anyway, I hope you'll enjoy this episode of A Dungeon About.
Played more Dragon Age. Still a good game.
That's cool.
I enjoyed the part where the former queen is sort of in your hands and she requests that she be made queen again.
Oh, I never played it that far, I confess.
Her argument is that she's a very good queen compared to Alistair, who is basically a Templar.
But you can totally make him into the king, right?
Yes, but I like her argument that she's a very good queen. After I just spent like 4 weeks saving her entire country and every part of her country that there is. And like her entire country is in flames. Her best general has taken over the throne. Her king is dead. And she stands there. I'm a good queen while the country burns in the background.
She reminds me of, what was his name? Viserys Targaryen? I know nobody talks about Game of Thrones anymore.
Well,
remember that was Daenerys' brother.
There's a new Game of Thrones series, which apparently...
like the House of Dragons thing?
Yeah, and I think it's quite well received, surprisingly.
I haven't heard bad things, but I also haven't heard much. That's sort of my point.
Yeah. So what was that about?
The queen reminds me of, what was his name? Viserys? You know, Daenerys' brother. Because he had this shitty, arrogant attitude and considered himself the king of... What was it? Westeros, right?
Yeah. He's the rightful king.
The kingdoms. How many were there? God damn it.
Seven
Kingdoms. Yeah. Because I actually read those books once, and I'm like, really, I would wish that, Winds of Winter
all
comes
of them that there will ever be.
Shut up. Don't say that. Fuck you, Winston. I'm not playing with you anymore.
Sorry.
It will totally come out. And that man will live until he finishes his books.
Hopefully, yes.
Hopefully, yes. But I mean, I've read them all. It's just been a long time.
Yeah.
And I mean,
it's still a good game, and I forgot some parts of the last. Like I'm in the last third now.
Oh wow.
And we had we are about to have the Lance meet with all the nobles, and then we will.
That sounds really cool.
Yeah, to see to it that the current usurper king will get his due, and we'll see who gets to be king or queen.
But the player cannot become king or queen, or is that possible?
He can, and I specifically say he, even though I play a female dwarf, because it's only possible if you marry the queen.
Ah.
So
wait, but can't you marry Alistair if you're a woman?
Maybe. I don't know how the. I think you can. I don't know how the
if you become queen, then is that?
Yeah.
Is how it works? Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Possibly. I just looked at the outcomes of what happens if you actually make her queen again. Yeah. And there are like 6 different versions where she marries Alistair. They hate each other, but they work together well enough for prosperous Ferelden. And then there's the version where you just make her queen, and she's pretty good actually. There's the version where you marry her, and it works out kind of well. And there's like a lot of different versions. It's really interesting also to this game is fantastic in so many ways, and then to see how difficult it actually is, even for BioWare at its height, basically.
Yeah.
To merge all these different story beats together into an ending that actually makes sense. And I still understand why people are so upset at Mass Effect 3 endings, because it's tough, guys.
Yeah. I do feel like they had a good thing going there. You
Yeah.
know, they had sort of figured it out. And I specifically asked it now about Alistair because I have a friend who I think played the Dragon Age Origins game mostly as a kind of sort of Alistair grooming exercise. And like, because
Okay.
yeah, she was saying that like, you can like sort of influence Alistair in a variety of ways, and you can sort of groom him to become the king. But I think that she also said if you want him to be the like you have to choose. Like he can be your cool boyfriend, but then he can't be the king. Like in order for him to become the king, he has to like marry that queen or whatever, and you have to tell him like, no, it's okay, Alistair. The realm is more important than our love.
Yeah, that's what was the impression that I got.
Yeah.
That the best outcome is basically them marrying, even though they
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
love each other and they just work together. Basically, they're very
Yeah,
effective
sure.
as a
It's a
team.
political marriage.
Yeah.
It's a real power couple.
And Alistair on his own, not a very good king, apparently.
No, but I do get the desire to groom him. That's the one thing. Like I don't remember much from Dragon Age Origins, but I do remember Alistair being a hottie. Like he's
and
he's
also-
quite dreamy.
Yeah, and also like so lost in the
Yeah.
world. Yeah,
No, he's a real charmer.
yeah.
That Alistair.
Also, I found out that apparently you can fuck up your relationship with Morrigan without even doing anything specific.
Really?
Because if you get her approval too high too fast, you sort of skip romance.
Oh, and go into what? Like worship mode? Like
No, into friendship.
what?
Yes. So
Okay.
I think there's a kissing scene that can occur past like approval rating 50-ish.
Yeah.
But if you go beyond 50 and beyond, I think 70 is or somewhere around there, without having the scene,
Yeah.
then the scene doesn't appear.
Wow, Vincent, you like power gamed yourself out of romancing Morrigan.
Yeah.
You were too efficient.
And I eventually looked it up because like I was getting close to the Landsmeet and I was wondering why
Yeah.
Morrigan didn't have any more dialogue options
Yeah,
at
yeah.
all. I felt like, something is missing. And I looked that up and okay, cool.
Is that a
Thanks,
bug
game.
or is that intended?
It doesn't feel intended.
Yeah, it
but
feels a bit weird because what are they saying? Like, okay, I mean, maybe it's intended. And it's like, well, Morrigan has to hate you a little bit to fuck you, like, which kind of checks out, I
maybe,
guess.
Yeah, maybe.
But it's still kind of weird.
Yeah.
I guess you can go for Liliana or what was the rogue lady?
Yeah, Liliana.
Yeah.
Liliana. Something like that, yeah.
I totally, in this case, like, we didn't agree on Baldur's Gate romancing with the girls and stuff, but in this case, I agree. I think Morrigan would have been my choice because she's kind of the tallest mountain to climb. Right? It
Yeah.
seems that
No,
way.
I agree.
And it's all this whole, you can save her, you can, like, melt her frozen heart, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Well,
But I guess not in your playthrough.
no, not in mine. It's just
Sorry.
well, there are other interesting
Plenty of
parties.
fish in the sea.
Yes. Yeah. No, it's still
Plenty of witches in the forest.
yes. Even in that, it's just such a good game. And I
Yeah.
sometimes, like, I wish they had.
Getting arrested, sorry.
Yeah, it's
I think that's very loud,
a
right?
lot of sirens. today.
Yeah, I
don't
know.
what's
I just
going
interrupted you because I think that
on. Yeah.
I cut that out. I don't know.
I wish they had staggered the companion interactions more in that game because
What do you mean?
it's so easy to go through them really quickly, all in one go, basically.
I see. Yeah.
So the way I did it is I played the Mage Tower first,
yeah.
and then I did the first half of Earl Eamon's quest and save Redcliffe. the village.
That's the castle where you have to do the siege thing, right?
Exactly, and
Yeah.
it's in two parts basically. You have to go to the village, protect the village, then
Yeah.
infiltrate the castle and free the castle of demons and stuff like
I
that.
remember playing through that. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, and then you also have to save Earl Eamon, who is poisoned,
Right.
and you have to go on a whole artifact hunt for that. And at the end of saving the village, I had been to camp like twice. So I felt like this feels a bit weird. I should probably go to camp.
Yeah.
And just went to camp and had like a companion scene. Talked to basically all the people. Went back to the village. Went back to camp again. Had another companion scene, and just did that like 4 times. Because I felt at that point I had missed stuff, even though I probably didn't. But then, yeah, that basically meant that there was very little companion scenes in the next 20 hours of gameplay.
Oh, really?
Sort of, yeah.
But does that mean you've done them all now? Or are they like, if you open a new chapter or whatever, they also get refreshed? And you get more companion interaction?
Maybe after the Lance meet.
Yeah.
But so far I've played quite a bit, and I've done all the main quests, or the get all the allies, right?
Yeah.
Get the elves, get the dwarves, get the mages and all that stuff. By the way, Mage Tower is still the best quest in my opinion.
Didn't play it. Don't spoil that one. I might actually play this game one day on this channel.
But you didn't play the Mage Tower in Dragon Age?
No, and I never got the healer.
What the fuck?
I played it when it came out. It wasn't yet known that you absolutely need the stupid healer.
I'm gonna leave now.
Well, I mean, come on. It's
Okay.
not.
No.
I'm not saying it sucks. I just didn't play it.
Okay.
So I guess I've got something to look forward
Without
to.
spoiling anything,
Yeah.
the reason why I think it's the best is that it's the best paced.
Sure.
It's not very long compared to Orzammar, for example,
Yeah.
where you spend like 10, 15 real life hours in
Yeah.
the city and then in the tunnels and all that stuff, which is like, they're all great quests. But just especially going from Mage Tower and then protecting the village, infiltrating the castle,
Right.
and that is about as much time as the Mage Tower takes, maybe even more.
Yeah.
And then they put another quest on you. Hey, go to these things and save all Eamon. And it's just like 2.5 times the size of the Mage Tower as a quest. And it's, yeah, I feel like the Mage Tower was the best paced.
I believe it. Also, it's about wizards, so I love it.
Yeah. So,
Like a cool mage tower. It's always great. Like, I mean, you don't need really anything else to get me excited except mage tower.
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there's a real non-zero chance I might play this one day. So I don't want to hear more.
You should definitely at least play the Mage Tower.
Yeah,
Because that is, it's quite fun.
Vincent, it does not depend on me. It depends on scheduling.
Yes, okay, fair enough.
Um,
Yeah, but still,
But
great
you were
game.
no. Hold on. I was gonna ask one more thing, which is, did they have like companion quests in the game? Because of this whole staggering pacing issue with the companions, I'm a little bit surprised.
Yes, they do, but they are usually pretty quick.
And you did them all. and,
So for
yeah.
Morrigan, for example, her quest, which you haven't done. Okay, so
I know a little bit about her mother and stuff.
yeah, but you find the quest item in the Mage Tower, so you.
Yeah, I did
Haven't
not
done it,
finish
yeah.
Dragon Age, and there's lots of stuff I didn't
okay, but,
go through all the way.
Let's take the rogue Liliana,
Yeah.
or whatever her perfect name is. Her quest is just go to Danarum and kill her old companion,
Oh, okay.
and that's like
That's
one fight,
All right.
and it's pretty similar for the others.
Okay. Yeah, I was just wondering because this whole pacing issue, even in Baldur's Gate 1, which is way less fidelity than Dragon Age, right? They had companions, and the companions had quests, and they didn't have this issue that you ran out of companion dialogue, and they did it through 2 mechanisms. One, which was that companion dialogue would just pop up randomly. I think they would roll behind the scenes, and you literally couldn't trigger it yourself, so you can't chew through all the dialogue that's available. And the other thing was that the companion quests were sort of gated through in-game chapters. So I know that, for instance, with Dorn, who is a really cool, like, he came later, I have to say now. There was an addition by Beamdog, but I think like one of the really, really good things that Beamdog added to the game, he's sort of a blackguard evil paladin kind of guy, and I really love the character. But he also has a very cool, easy quest, because he got dicked over by his past adventuring party, and he hates them, and he has a list, and he wants you to help him track them all down and kill them. And it's fun because they're also all evil, just like him, so you feel good about killing them. It's a good quest, but you can't finish it early on because, like some of them, they're basically in Worm's Crossing, right? In Baldur's Gate, and you can't get there early on in the game, so you can't kill them, and you have to. It's staggered that way, right?
That's perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the whole staggering is the one thing that Dragon Age
Interesting.
didn't really do that well. I felt like even if they had done a version of like just on one hand just have more complex companion quests and then also log them behind. Okay, you can only do this after you have done 2 of the main quests, and you can only take the next step after you have done 3 of the main quests. But the way they made the game, right, where you can basically do any of the main quests at any given point, and you can move freely between the locations, it leads to a situation where you basically have like a very short Act 1, and then an extremely long Act 3, and a very short Act 3. A very long Act 2 and a very short Act 3.
Right.
And that's a bit weird, but that's the only thing. And even then, like, I met one of the companions at level 17. So after, I don't know how many hours of play, but a lot. And still fun.
I mean, can you finish the game without even picking up all of them?
I mean,
I don't know. As I said, I haven't played it that far.
I think you can refuse some of them.
Right.
You definitely have to pick up Alistair, I'm pretty sure. Same for Morrigan.
But you also meet them really early on.
Yes. The dwarf, Ogren, I think you have to take along.
But could you play the whole game without the healer?
Yes.
Which is hilarious.
Okay. No. You can't. I don't think you can play the whole game without her.
Right. But very long, like I did.
I think she has to be part of your party in the Mage Tower, but there's a way of killing her at some point. And you can also, I think there's the what's his name? Stan, I think. The
don't remember.
The fighter who has literally no dialogue.
Yeah, I vaguely remember him.
Yeah. And they also redesigned his whole race after the first game. They now have horns.
Okay.
And
tieflings.
Basically, like beefy tieflings.
Beeflings.
Beeflings, exactly.
Very good. That will be my next campaign.
Yeah. Beeflings. We're all beeflings here.
They come with 3 protein powder in the inventory.
So stupid.
Got a mean attitude.
Yeah. But the way you get him sort of is by freeing him out of a cage, and you have to be really persuasive to get there. So I think that would be the easiest character. You could probably just miss him.
Right. I think that's great.
Yeah. But some of them you definitely need. And I also think it's pretty good that you need them.
Yeah, I like a mix. I mean, I'm fine with everything, really.
Man, I don't know. This game has such high points. Like, I don't want to spoil the Mage Tower, but if you bring Morrigan, they have like a pretty extensive dialogue at the beginning. Because she is like in that world, they expect mages to be properly ID'd basically.
Yeah. There was something about that.
If you aren't, then you're what are they called? Like
a rogue,
Maleficaro, or something like that.
Which is totally what Morrigan is, right?
Yeah, definitely. And she's also very firm on being that and not being part of the whole Templar mage system and not liking that at all. And
she's like totally like your cool older girlfriend who knows like cool bands and tells you what music to listen to and stuff, but also wants to run your life a little bit too much. Like she has 100% that energy in every way. Morrigan is cool. Yeah. This is like, if an RPG nails the characters, then they basically nailed the RPG. That's what I think.
Yeah, and I would say my favorite part of that game so far is the dialogue between her and the healer at the beginning of the Mage Tower.
Right.
It's just like suddenly, after that scene, I was thinking about the original Sin and Baldur's Gate series of games where you can play any character and you can at any time play any character of your group and have dialogue moments.
Yeah.
And I always find that a bit weird because I don't want to play 4 characters. I want to play 1 character and have other characters with me. And in that scene, that was such a strong moment of, this is what I want.
I thought Morrigan is talking.
Yeah, but that is exactly what I want. In that moment, I am still part of the dialogue between the two. Like I'm interacting with that dialogue, but it's a dialogue between these 2 characters where they have very strong feelings about how mages should be.
But then maybe I'm misunderstanding because we've had this discussion before. I know, and it's
plenty of times.
And we are on different ends of the spectrum. I think, which is fine. This is completely a thing for reasonable people to disagree on and have different subjective preferences. But now I'm feeling I'm just misunderstanding your position because I thought, and what you just said, I think was like, you want to be the main character and you want to be talking to people.
Yes.
But because in this case, it's just objectively, it's like 2 NPCs talking to each other.
Yeah. And I think I would have agreed with your assessment of my position before playing Dragon Age again.
Right.
And after that moment occurred, I had the realization, no, this is what I want. My main problem is not being the main character. My main problem is playing multiple characters and just having like a book that has where the first person narrator changes persons, and that is confusing to
interesting, Vincent. I think I'm beginning to understand or to gain deeper insight into your preference. No, because what you say makes sense to me because okay, let me try to phrase it, okay?
Yes.
It's like when you had that scene with Morrigan in the Mage Tower, it wasn't like you're talking as Morrigan. It's like, it's like these 2 sort of theater actors or like these NPCs, at least they have a scene on stage and you now get to position yourself in relation to them with your main character.
Exactly.
Right. And it's not a problem that you're not constantly the one talking because you have some kind of narcissistic obsession with being the center of attention all the time. It's just about the perspective. It's like you don't want to put yourself in the heads of other. I actually get that. Although I still I'm okay with like putting myself into Minsk's head and thinking like, how would Minsk approach this situation?
Yeah, but that's Minsk.
But it's like that's totally fair. That's right, in RPGs, like TTRPGs, there's this talk about stances, right? And are you in actor stance or are you in director stance? Which is getting at exactly this, right? It's like, are you at the table and you want to be completely in the head of your character? Or do you want to have a little bit more distance and maybe do the thing that people, call metagaming, maybe, and in the sense of talking with the DM and like maybe suggesting stuff like, oh, how about just in the next scene I'm in the throne room and I've already killed the king and we go from there, right? And that's sort of metagamey, but that can be functional, right? You're like designing your experience sort of like a director collaboratively with the other people.
And you don't even have to explicitly say it. You can if you have that in the back of your head, you can act out the scene in a way that gives the DM the opportunity to create a next scene in the throne room.
Yeah, and that the throne room thing might be an extreme example, but at least it makes it clear. And there's a spectrum, obviously, I would say, with actor and director. But that makes complete sense to me. And it also, it makes sense to me that I think you and I might be on a slightly different points on the spectrum. And I'm a bit more okay with a little bit more distance. But now I think, this was good to hear, Vince, because I think I now understand your position a bit better.
Well, that's great.
Yeah.
Play Dragon Age.
Excuse me. It is already the 4th of July, right?
I think so,
yeah. So, I mean...
Also, I did see fireworks on my way here. So apparently
you did?
Some people in Germany are excited about that.
Oh, was it over the castle? I mean, look, that may be Americans actually celebrating.
Possibly.
We do have quite a few Americans here, certainly in Berlin, also here in Potsdam due to the university. I hear them talk in the street. I hear their foreign tongues talking about Texas chili and Budweisers. I don't know.
Might also be British people or Scottish people.
No, I can tell them apart. Do you know how I can tell? Because like I understand what they're talking about, so they can't be Scottish.
Okay, yeah,
right?
yeah,
and
yeah.
British, come on, I can tell that apart.
Yeah,
That's
probably. I mean, you could also
quite
probably...
easy, my good chap, to
Yeah.
tell apart. I apologize. I apologize to Americans, the British people, but not to the Scots, because that is completely true what I said earlier.
Out of the three, they are probably my favorite.
The Scots?
Yeah.
Why? I mean, not that I disagree.
They're just so... I mean, the depiction in media is just so lovable.
I agree, actually. I would probably, I don't know. I've never been to Scotland.
Teodosio, you've been cancelled within 5 minutes starting the stream.
I know, but I mean, who
Not again.
who is surprised by this?
Yeah.
Come on. Also, we kid because we love. I mean, I do enjoy this. Here's some Scottish media. I highly recommend. It's dumb. Have I talked about this before on the stream? It's a book thing. The Outlander series is very nice, where a British woman gets transported back in time to Scotland during the Scottish War of Independence. Here, there you go for topical topics, right? It's the Scottish War against the English in that book, and before that, she like fights in World War II. But like she was a nurse in World War II. She and her husband are fighting Nazis, but that's in the past. The war is over, and they're like on vacation or whatever in Scotland, and that's where she gets transported back in time, and then finds various hilarious and confusing ways to like fuck a bunch of Scottish guys.
Yes,
That's basically what the book is about.
That's what we all want.
Kind of. She makes it sound and feel really appealing. Like those are some sexy Scottish boys. She finds also some of course she also meets like the English enemy commander or whatever, and he's like a huge asshole. And of course he for some reason is the ancestor of her husband and looks exactly like her husband in the now time, right? But in the past. And it's actually a well-crafted sort of story, but it's also I don't know, kind of hilarious on like how far backwards the book bends in order to give you, the reader, through the vicarious viewpoint of the protagonist, sort of to give you license to fuck a bunch of Scottish guys, right? It's like you're not even cheating.
Yeah.
They have a discussion. The husband is like, and if we were ever separated again, it's fine if you feel lonely or whatever. He's a very understanding guy, and then she meets his alter ego, and he's a total douchebag and like horrible, and so it's doubly okay, right?
Yeah.
And it's I don't know. I don't know why I talked about this now, but
because we were talking about Scottish people.
I guess
why
so.
they're so lovable.
And it's in Independence Day, but it's an
Not
interesting
from the
book.
Scottish though.
Well, it didn't work out, I guess. Well, it is how it is. Anything new in games?
Well, I don't know if it's still new. I'm still watching the Games Festival stuff, Summer Games Fest.
Wow, you're really doing your homework. You want to crunch all of it.
It's like, 12 hours of footage?
It's true, but did you discover any hidden gems?
Did you watch the Xbox / Microsoft conference?
Partly, but it's console stuff, so I keep one ear closed.
not really though, because a lot of these trailers are really. I watched it 2 days ago and yesterday a bit, and they had so far I think the best trailers, just because it's Microsoft, right? And they own everything now.
Yeah, they do.
So they it started a bit slow, but then they got into the new Doom,
Ah, yeah, I think I saw that.
which is set in a sort of medieval, not really medieval times, but he uses sort of medieval weapons, like a shield, but a shield that has been modified to work kind of like a chainsaw.
It's good.
Yeah, it looks amazing. Music is amazing.
And the original Doom machine, I think. Doom. Oh, man, that's a good slap.
Yeah.
The Doom Marine had a chainsaw, I think. I might be wrong. Maybe that was
I'm
Quake.
pretty sure. And I think there's a chainsaw in the first of the new Dooms as well.
Right.
But yeah, it looked very fun. And then they kept going with a new World of Warcraft trailer.
Ah.
Right, the Blizzard trailers are always amazing. That one basically went through all the...
Wait, that was part of the Xbox show?
Yeah.
Why?
Because it's a Microsoft show, and Microsoft owns Blizzard.
Yeah, you're right. But it's still weird to me. No, you're absolutely right. And I should understand that. I guess in my mind, though, there's like BlizzCon and stuff, right? So, like in my mind, they had their own sort of showcase thing.
Yes.
But I suppose no longer, yeah. Sure.
Yeah, I don't know if there's still a separate conference for them, but I don't think so. Maybe, no idea. But yeah, a new World of Warcraft trailer.
How was that?
Pretty.
What's it called, the new expansion?
The War Within.
The War, wow. Very introspective.
Yes, and as far as I know, that's the first of the new expansions where they try to create a bigger story that works over multiple expansions. Like I believe Final Fantasy XIV does that as well. And that sounded very good, or interesting at least. The trailer itself was look back through all the other trailers. Like the World of Warcraft classic original trailer.
Remember the stuff you actually liked.
Basically. And then it also showed probably some of the new characters they will introduce. There was like a dwarven smith somewhere deep underground forging with a giant chain pulling a smithy. It was unclear what exactly he did. But
that was like an NPC?
Yeah, probably. Yeah. And yeah, overall, it's like half of it was just retrospective, looking back at the old trailers, and half of it was new stuff.
Right.
But overall, pretty decent trailer, I would say.
So what's the War Within? What's the problem in Azeroth these days? Is it like a spycraft thing? The War Within is like, it's about internal security now?
No, I think it's more literal. The war within Azeroth. So Azeroth is the planet that the World of Warcraft happens on. And 2 expansions ago, I think at the end of Legion, if I remember correctly, Titan threw his giant sword basically into the planet.
Yeah, I heard about that. And then they never did anything with it.
And now they do.
Okay.
And the idea is that they also might have teased the villain, which looked sort of night elf-y. And that...
Like Illidan.
Yeah, but
my
he's
favorite
also...
Dan. Except maybe Dan's Gaming.
Yeah,
just thought of that. That's a cool streamer I like.
Yes. Yeah, but also Illidan is half demon, so is he really still a night
Dan's
elf?
Gaming is half demon?
No, I mean maybe. I don't know.
I'm
not familiar with the Dan lore on that one. But yeah, it's about Azeroth, the world becoming she was always sort of a being or had an avatar, or it was unclear to me.
Well,
but yeah,
is that like about the Emerald Dream stuff? Is that like the soul of Azeroth?
Emerald Dream is something different. That's sort of like the Feywild.
But yeah, it's an alternative sort of paradise version of Azeroth. Yeah, and I guess Fey version. Yeah. All right.
That's what is her name? The dragon?
Ysera, yeah. Favorite dragon.
Yeah. She's pretty cool.
not
and
actually true.
always sleeping.
Yeah. But I guess favorite Hearthstone card.
Mm-hmm.
That was a cool card.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, but
Azeroth is sort of a very contested place. I mean,
yes.
it keeps getting invaded. Why?
Good question. I don't exactly know.
But
It's
okay,
just-
I mean the war within, right? The war now being on Azeroth. I guess before it was always on other planets, or not always, but often
No,
now, right?
My point is that it's now maybe within Azeroth. So
when you said literal, you literally meant literal in
So
the most literal sense.
Yes,
because the sword is in the planet. That's dumb, though. That's
Hey, look, we don't have high expectations for
No,
World of
we
Warcraft,
certainly
so
do not.
it's okay.
oh boy,
Yeah.
huh?
I don't know.
I liked my version better, where like Azeroth has now won the war, but now they have to focus on internal security because there's like corruption and like dissidents, and like Malfurion has to start his secret druid police.
Yeah, but they've done that.
They have?
I mean, it's like every 2 or 3. But there are the two factions, Alliance and Horde, and
Yeah.
every like 2 or 3 expansions, they changed their opinion on whether they should be fighting or working together.
Right.
So there was Battle for Azeroth, where fighting each other was a huge deal. And I don't know what the one before Dragonflight was. Shadowlands?
I think Shadowlands. That sounds familiar.
That one I haven't
And then there was Legion at some point.
yeah, that was before BFA. But yeah, since BFA, they've basically worked together, I think.
That's
so maybe
interesting to me.
maybe now it's PvP again. Who knows?
So, is it true? And you are the expert here. I only
I'm
really
not
know.
an expert, but I'm trying.
Well, you're certainly the expert in this room.
Okay.
Because I've actually never played WoW. All I know about the lore is either from Warcraft, like 3 and the actual games before that, or what I've read and picked out through cultural osmosis.
Yeah.
And is it true?
Didn't you also read these gigantic Reddit posts about the World of Warcraft lore?
Yeah, that's true. You put that down as osmosis. Very high pressure osmosis. But actually, okay.
Get in there.
I put those in the show notes because those are amazing. I highly recommend those. They were from I wonder if you can find them elsewhere by now. People were telling the guy he should get them published. You can find them on r/hobbydrama. And it's just I guess look for World of Warcraft, because some guy did basically a very long form post series.
Is the guy's name maybe Rumbleskin?
It's possible, I don't know.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, if you
found
find
some.
several posts on World of Warcraft, that's probably it.
He has a post where he lists all the other
Yeah,
parts.
I think that's it, and it's fantastic. It's just such a well written. He boils it down. He or she boils it down to the essentials, and it's written in a very entertaining style. And also, the actual history is extremely interesting and funny, especially the beginnings and stuff. Mm-hmm. And I highly recommend it. Even I, having not played it and only sort of, sneered at it arrogantly from the sidelines while I was playing Ultima Online and actual MMOs for real people. I've only sort of
keep
heard
talking.
about what is happening in WoW, and I still highly enjoyed it. But so that's where I get all my information. So I'm very happy to be corrected. But here's my question. Is it true that there has been a slow move in the world of Warcraft to sort of humanize and legitimize or like make into good, quote unquote, people the Horde? Do you know what I mean? Like, have they been sort of turning the Horde from like ravenous beasts and just evil orcs into just green people and trolls and all the other stuff? Do you know what I mean? Because certainly, okay, looking back, just so you know where I'm coming from for the comparison, looking back to like Warcraft 2 or whatever, orcs or just Warcraft, orcs versus humans, right? I think the lore wasn't that deep and stuff, and it was just, okay, there's like good humans and elves and all the like good races are in an alliance versus the just evil orcs, and they looked evil. They had like demonic wizards and shamans and stuff, and they
Yeah.
did bad stuff. They had death knights. They were clearly very much coded as evil. And you fought them, and then you won, and then everything was good.
Yeah.
And has that changed, and is there a continuous sort of vector towards
So-
or away from that?
I'm less wondering about where we are now and more wondering about where we started, because I didn't play World of Warcraft 2, and in Warcraft 3, they were kind of evil, but there was definitely already the story about them being corrupted, right? You
Yeah,
had
yeah.
that mission about what was his name, Gormash, drank from the fountain and turned green, I think, and got
Yeah.
evil. And that's always been sort of the story, right? That they're not inherently purely evil.
That is the canon thing, yes.
Yeah.
That the orcs, they're on another planet. Do you remember what it's called?
No.
Okay, but they're from a different planet than Azeroth,
Mm-hmm.
and they were sort of they had some kind of trouble, right? And then they basically made a pact with demons, and they corrupted them, and then they turned green. They were originally sort of skin colored. Is that wrong?
I'm not sure if they originally were skin colored, but
So the green color is not a
mostly.
sign of corruption.
no, the green color is, but I don't know what the original color was. That might have just been
I guess
like
skin
a
color.
purple or
I'm
something.
also assuming my own skin color,
Yes.
which is the default for me.
Yeah.
But yeah. So actually, I have no idea what color they were. I guess it doesn't matter. The point is they changed,
Mm-hmm.
like yeah. I think that's the official canon, right? That they are definitely not cosmologically determined to be evil. The
Yeah.
orcs, they have been corrupted, and I totally agree with that. But I'm completely fine with that. It's just I'm not sure if that was there from the start. I guess that is something for the real Warcraft historians out there.
Yeah, that's the thing. Because even in Warcraft 3, Thrall, for example,
Yeah.
right, was a good guy, and he still is. Like he's in tune with nature. He's a shaman.
Absolutely. Hence, I was talking about Warcraft 1 and 2.
Yeah,
Because,
I
yeah.
don't know those.
Yeah, but I did play them back in, the days
both of them.
back in the Soviet Union.
You're ancient.
Yeah, I played them at my buddy Christian's house, and then there I learned about it. Though there was, maybe I'm wrong, and that was already either in the games or planned, because I do think there was already this thing that they came through a portal. Right, and they weren't originally from Azeroth. That was a thing, I think. But even if you would want to tell me, yeah, they were good actually, just corrupted, I would call bullshit because the games don't communicate that at all. Right? I agree with you that in Warcraft 3, yeah, they have this whole nature angle, and it comes through in the campaign and in the design of the heroes and various ways, right? But in the other games, no, sorry, it's just they just seem evil
Yeah.
and so on and. Even if you now tell me that's canon, you got to deal with what the text is actually giving you, right? Not what the author wants it to be. And
Yeah, sure. No, I'm just wondering, did they change over the course of World of Warcraft, or were they from the beginning of Classic? Were they always these kind of lovable goofballs that somehow got corrupted?
Certainly, I think we just determined that the start of if there was a change, it started even probably before World of Warcraft, right? But then the question though is like at the start of World of Warcraft in like Classic, were they still? I mean, there was still at least an antagonistic relationship, a purely antagonistic relationship between the Alliance and the Horde. Would you agree with that? Like they were fighting each other. No?
Yes, they were, but were they always?
Yeah, but I'm only asking now about at the start of Classic, right? The state of the game and the lore when you like purchased the World of Warcraft video game. They weren't fighting?
Yes, they were. But for one, it wasn't necessarily the focus of the game. Like PvP was a thing, sure, but it wasn't like that wasn't the main point, right? It was more important to fight the undead hordes of Naxxramas and stuff like that.
All right, but I mean, wasn't there like at least
I'm also just thinking back. Was there always world PvP? I
I don't
think
know
so. And I think they added the battlegrounds later, and then world PvP became sort of an afterthought. Not an afterthought, but a less prominent member of the PvP content.
At the very least, I could tell, because I don't know, right? I didn't play it. But I can tell you that the author of these wonderful World of Warcraft history posts talks a lot about the PvP aspects in the early days, because that's the entertaining stuff, right? It's like not just PvP, but also just like horde people trolling alliance people. It's usually that way, I think. Like I don't know, pulling some huge boss into Stormwind, the capital and stuff, and then it kills all the noobs and stuff. And I love that shit. It's hilarious. We've talked last time about being an explorer in a big game in an MMO, and that's the explorer stuff, right? Finding the weird interactions and the exploits. And then I guess, I mean, one man's grief is another one's entertainment. Let's face it. It's like that's also. I am a bit of a chaos goblin, and if I were to log in one day and I get killed by Gromash or whatever, who's like a level 40 super boss, I'm not gonna like cry over that. It's fine.
Yes. No, I think you're correct. They were always fighting, and like world PvP, not necessarily depending on your on the server you chose. That might not have always been active, but there was definitely always the option to go into like the main city of the other faction. Right, you could always attack Orgrimmar or Stormwind, and there were even on PvE servers there were areas that were sort of designated PvP areas by the players. There were one of the famous ones is Terran Mill, which is like 2 zones north of Ironforge. And there wasn't really anything going on, so they would just host gigantic battles there.
That's awesome. I love that.
That was really cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, they were always fighting.
Vincent, what was the weird? This now comes up for me because you were talking about weird little places in the World of Warcraft. What was that? You know this? That wasn't it like a tavern? Just also an irrelevant place on the world map where people would go to like do like erotic role playing in the WoW chat.
Well, yes,
that existed, right?
it's at least one of these places.
Oh, there were multiple?
I don't know.
You wouldn't know. I know, but still.
Yes. Is in Goldshire.
Right, that was it.
Which is the village directly down the street from Stormwind.
Makes sense. But there was nothing interesting there, right? Maybe a quest line, a low-level one. I don't know.
Yeah, it's basically every new character goes through there.
Okay,
every new human character goes through there.
Yeah.
But it's also
every horny character.
Yeah, I think one of the reasons that they chose that is probably because you can make a new character and get there within like 3 minutes.
Makes sense.
And there's really no danger of dying or anything.
Okay, but to tie it in with like how friendly or hostile were Alliance and Horde, did Horde players also go there, or did they have their own little swinger club?
I don't know, man. I was never Horde, so.
Oh, okay. Huh.
And
I suppose you also were never in Goldshire, so you never interacted.
I mean, I was in Goldshire, but I was. The thing is, I
not
think
in that way.
Yeah, I think that happened mostly on the RP servers.
Oh, that makes sense.
And I've never played on them either.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that always, like, I've heard about the RP service and people like writing in chat, and you could write like /R, and then it would roll a 100-sided die.
Yeah.
And then that's how people would they would write text, and that's how they would decide whether their attempts succeeded or not. I think so. I've briefly watched a video about that.
Yeah, I mean, the chat system was pretty elaborate in World of Warcraft. You could even, you could write your own emotes and do a lot of emotes.
That's cool.
Like that. Yeah.
I mean, all that stuff Blizzard just nailed, right? I mean, they took the MMO scene as it was, and I think back then people were looking at EverQuest with 200,000 subscriptions or something, and they said, yeah, the market's saturated. And then WoW comes along and just knocks it out of the park.
Yeah,
and they still are the absolute king over the hill. And I have to say, I think deservedly so. I mean, okay, maybe not right now, but back in the day. It really was. And as Blizzard does, like, it was an extremely polished product and just the best version of an MMO that we had seen to date, right? Like, even not having played it, really not being a WoW fanboy at all, I am very happy to say that.
Yeah, I mean, even now, it's after like 20 years, it's still a really impressive product with all the expansions and all the changes that the genre and the game specifically have undergone.
Yeah,
it still works great.
And by the way, since I guess my brain activates all the WoW regions now because we're talking about it. But the War Within expansion that's coming up, right? That was also the same one. I mean, it has to be. I saw this during the actual BlizzCon. That was a while ago now. Can't tell you when I saw that, but it was boring. There was nothing interesting there.
Okay.
Like, they were still talking about, like, oh boy, Overwatch and stuff. But then
Overwatch 2 now.
Yeah, sure, whatever.
Important.
Nobody cares.
Difference. Yes.
Yeah, not important at all. No. But no, I know what you mean. You're right. But at the end, they brought out Chris Metzen, right? The original inventor of WoW, and he talked about the new expansion, I think, and not like I'm never gonna play it, and like I don't play WoW, and I'm not related, but even I got excited just from that guy.
Yeah, that's why I'm excited about like that talk. It's why I'm excited about this 3 arcs structure of the new expansions.
Because that guy was passionate about it. He has a real vision for this, and I don't know. It's such a. It's a legit cultural touchstone. Wow. Like, I don't know, touchstone is the wrong word, but it's like one day people should create a museum just for World of Warcraft or something. Which is
probably a museum within World of Warcraft. About
World of Warcraft. Yeah, and it's probably in Goldshire. There's like, horny halflings surrounding it.
Yes.
But like, all that stuff. I guess that historical post that I keep talking about, that's the best version of that. But it was such a cultural phenomenon, I guess is the correct word, because it really similar to, but much more so than Baldur's Gate 3, it reached way beyond the sort of nerdy basement dwelling MMO players of the time.
It has kept going, right?
Yeah,
it's not a single game that that happened and people liked it and then they forgot about it or stored it away. It's just like people keep going back to it or keep playing it, depending on who you are. And it has kept that going for 20 years now. And the player numbers are still in the millions. Actually, I think they have dropped it all the way, or they have dropped until Shadowlands, and then with BFA they actually started increasing again. Okay. So now they're back to 7 millions, which is insane.
Yeah,
like 7 million concurrent players.
It is, and as you say, it's very impressive that they keep this going over 20 years.
Yeah,
they keep the interest. So yeah, I don't think WoW is going away anytime soon.
No.
And
and the new expansion is here in, I think, August was the date.
Okay,
so not that
very
far away.
soon. And I mean, that's cool. There's also not that much other stuff on the horizon, is there? I mean, obviously, I'm looking forward to like Tactical Breach Wizards, and
yes,
weird
which
little
is
indie
also
games.
in August.
Exactly.
I think,
Yes.
Well, I can tell you the other thing that was really nice in the Xbox/Microsoft conference was another Blizzard trailer for the Diablo 4 expansion.
Okay.
And I haven't played Diablo 4. I have not really an interest to play it because I played Path of Exile and that was sort of...
You can't go back to Diablo after PoE.
I think the main difference that I want in all these, in Diablo 4 and all the other action RPGs is just more enemies, faster gameplay. But that's always the problem why Path of Exile wins. Anyway, the trailer was fantastic. I have no idea about the story. And
that was the trailer with the lady
that was trapped in her fictional world, sort of, and at the same time within the body of some devil.
That's what was going on. Yeah, I mean, I just heard it, right? But
Yeah.
even the sound and the voice acting was very gripping in a way.
Yeah.
And Blizzard is known for having amazing CGI trailers, both in the animation, but also in like scripting and acting and everything.
Absolutely. Also,
And it was a good trailer.
It was surprisingly visceral.
Yeah, it sounded pretty gory.
Yeah, I feel like that's sort of new, a new high for Blizzard in that regard. But
They have not been that gory before.
no, I'm trying to think back on the original Diablo 4 trailer, which was also pretty gory, I think. But I mean, that poor woman. They really like ripped her apart.
Yeah, I don't know how to feel about that.
Still, very impressive trailer.
Yeah, I'm not saying, by the way, I'm against that. I mean that literally. I don't know how to feel about that.
Yeah, I mean, I think we talked about it before about in our Gothic conversations. How at least since The Dark Knight, people the media tries to be more darker and maybe gorier as well. And I don't know that's necessarily what I want.
I'm just wondering if I want it from Diablo, right? Because, if you look at the other Blizzard games, like Warcraft, it has that sort of whimsical, cartoonish thing. Even if it didn't have it at the start, it has it now. And I wouldn't want that to be like a gore fest and like sinister and stuff.
Yeah.
But Diablo was a bit different, right? It always had that sort of Christian and devil's theme.
Like I was surprised by how gory it was, but I wasn't shocked. So to speak.
No, I mean, it is sort of part of the theme. Even in Diablo 2, the only one I've played, you go to the first boss, Andariel or whatever, and in her lair, she just has she took over this monastery of the nuns or whatever, and she has a big pit full of blood and body parts where she's sort of boiling people's ripped apart bodies and stuff. It's gory, all right, it is. But it's also sort of pixelated and stuff, right?
Yeah.
So that has an effect. And overall, the art style of Diablo, that's always the thing. People don't remember it this way, but it is true. Like Diablo 2 was incredibly colorful.
Was it?
Yes, but somehow it managed to come across as a dark game, but it had like bright red skeletons and that kind of stuff, right? And it's just... if you look at the color palette, it's pretty colorful. It's just not an art style that's in any way whimsical or cartoonish, right? But it's not like gray and brown and just dark, which I sometimes find sort of exhausting to look at in games. But then I went blind, and now I am free, and I don't have to.
Now I have to tell you about how exhausting it is.
Yes, like with Scald.
Well, that
which is not gray and brown.
Exactly, it's not exhausting because of the color scheme. It's exhausting because of how busy it is.
Yeah. But with Diablo, like I don't know, but I guess it fits the whole devil stuff. It's just to me, it's always, this is what I would do in a TTRPG campaign if I have sort of disinterested, disconnected players, or at least it's one of the things, right? If you have trouble getting people to feel anything, Disgust always works, and it's an easy attention grab, right?
Yeah.
Like if you just, if your players aren't paying attention, like put something really disgusting in front of them, which, you can do in a variety of ways. And like having a person be ripped apart, that counts.
Hey, it worked on me, right?
Yeah.
That's the main, I mean, apart from the story of the trailer, which was good and interesting, and the acting, that's the main part that I remember, that scene where she was ripped apart.
Yeah.
Wow. It worked.
But it is for the exact same reasons, though. It is sort of, in my mind, in my imaginary hierarchy of horror and how high I esteem the various types of horror, it is the lowest type of horror, probably. Yes, I say snobbishly.
Yes, you and your high-quality horror can stay over there.
Yes, me indeed.
Yes.
Me indeed.
Anyway,
but we agree. I think that the trailer was dope, even though I didn't see it.
And that was about as far as I've watched so far. But and then there was the Fable trailer, which we've already talked about. but it was just
Yeah.
as soon as I think the section started with the new Call of Duty trailer, and then it came Doom, and then it just kept on going with great trailers. It was really
Yeah, they had
nice.
good stuff. The Xbox showcase was pretty good. I do have to, because you mentioned it, like about Fable.
Yeah.
The theory that Humphrey, the narrator, is Superhans, confirmed. Because I've been following Matt King's Twitter account,
Yes.
who is the actor for Humphrey and also Superhans. So it's the same guy.
Oh.
Yeah. And he talks, he keeps also posting Fable content and stuff. And he also talked about how, like, they called him up and he was basically, like, the guy's an actor, right? He can do a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
And he was ready to deliver anything to them, right? For some kind of fantasy character. And they were like, no. We just want Superhans. Can you just do Superhans? So I was doubly correct, right?
Man.
It's the same guy also doing the same performance.
Can you imagine that you have like this like $200 million RPG project that hundreds of people have I assume, I don't know how much it actually costs, but
sure, it's an expensive project.
yes,
I'm sure.
and then your PR team comes to you, so we got the actor for Superhans.
I mean, I completely understand that. I actually, I mean, that was a brilliant decision on that part. It fits. He did a
Yes.
great job.
It's
I
just
kind
a,
of want Superhans in
like,
more games
wild
now.
decision.
Yeah.
But it worked, yeah.
Yeah, it is. I'm now curious about this game only for this reason.
Mm-hmm.
I just wonder, like, how many people are out there because this show is kind of old. It's like I think it started in 2004. I mean, Peep Show.
God, yeah.
And,
like World of Warcraft.
I guess so. Yeah, but I
Well-
guess that's the demographic that you can grab with that.
Okay, and before anybody corrects me, it did start in 2004 in Germany. It started in November 2003 in the US, but in February 2004 in Germany.
Yeah, we always get sloppy seconds here
Yes.
in Germany.
Well,
Yeah. Anyway, I just
even,
wanted to
don't even get the Freedom Day or Independence Day. Damn it. No fireworks.
Well, I mean, as we said, we did, and we might get a couple more as we, as it goes towards evening, maybe, because fireworks during the day is kind of pointless, in my opinion.
True, yeah.
You want a dark sky, but yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
I just wanted to say that about Superhans. Also, I recommend following Matt King. He's a great guy. Now I'm so happy now that I have Superhans in my Twitter feed because he posts great stuff, like just about sometimes I just like going to a forest and petting a dog till I fall asleep, and because it's the most
what?
Yes, it's the most non-Superhans content.
Where did you find what?
I don't know, man, but it's like it's super wholesome, nice. It's because the character he played was all this crack. I need crack. It's like not like that at all. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Go follow Matt King.
Can you
He's
stop
great.
saying crack? It makes me think about crack.
Yes, exactly. I'll suck for crack. That's Superhounds. Yeah. Anyway. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the A Dungeon About podcast. We record live usually every Thursday at 4 p.m. Central European Time on Twitch, twitch.tv/HeMakesMePlay_live. You can also watch some of our Let's Plays and other videos we create on the HeMakesMePlay YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/@HeMakesMePlay. And you can also follow us on Twitter @makes_play. Thanks everyone. See you next time.